What if you could get a blueprint for your 20s from someone who's already been there, done that, and built a seriously successful life? Well, today, that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking 50 powerful pieces of advice from a 57-year-old millionaire and boiling them down into a practical guide you can start using, like, right now. All right, let's get into it. So all of this comes from a guy named Mark Tilbury, an entrepreneur who basically laid out everything he wishes he knew when he was younger. And this isn't just some theory, you know? This is decades of real-world experience. The wins, the losses, the whole shebang, all distilled for us. So what did he have to say? He came up with a massive list, 50 different pieces of advice. But look, trying to remember all 50, it's overwhelming, right? So what we've done is taken all that wisdom and organized it into 4 foundational pillars. Think of these as the bedrock for building a well-designed life. Let's start with the very first one. Right, before you can build anything that lasts, whether it's a career, wealth, or great relationships, you have to build your internal foundation. Your mindset is basically the operating system for your entire life. So what's the first major upgrade we need to make? It all starts with this one huge shift. You got to ask yourself, are you mostly a consumer, just passively scrolling, watching, and taking things in? Or are you a producer, actively creating, building, and putting more out into the world than you take? The argument here is simple. To get ahead, you have to create more than you consume. If you don't, your most valuable assets, your time and your attention, are literally being stolen from you. Okay, check out this story, because it totally flips how we think about failure. Mark talks about going skiing with his son. They made a little bet to see who could fall the least. Mark played it safe, stayed upright, and he won. But his son, he fell over and over again. And in the process, he's the one who actually got way better. He eventually became a much, much faster skier. And that story just nails the whole point, doesn't it? The goal isn't to avoid failure, it's to use it. Failure is the engine that drives you forward. Honestly, if you're not failing, you're just not pushing your limits hard enough. Every single mistake is just a piece of data, a lesson that fuels your growth. Embracing it is the absolute fastest way to get better. So it all comes together in this kind of mindset toolkit. You got to build the willpower to actually focus in a world designed to distract you. You need to be pulled forward by a big vision for your future, not held back by the fear of losing what you already have. And critically, you have to stop waiting around for inspiration to strike. Just get started. And finally, maybe most importantly, run your own race. Stop looking at what your friends are doing. Comparison will rob you of your joy and your progress every single time. All right, so you've got a strong mindset in place. Now what? Now you start applying it to the real world. Pillar 2 is all about building a career that isn't just successful, but is uniquely 100% yours. This right here is one of those golden pieces of advice, and it is a total game changer. Stop trying to compete in some crowded field to be the best. The competition is just insane, and the difference between number 1 and number 10 is tiny. Instead, the real goal is to create a category of 1, where you are the only option. But how in the world do you actually do that? Well, you do it by stacking skills. Just think about Steve Jobs, right? He was obsessed with technology, obviously, but he also randomly took calligraphy classes in college. Years later, he combined his knowledge of tech with this deep appreciation for design and beautiful fonts, and bam, you get Apple, a company that wasn't just selling computers, it was selling usable art. He literally created a brand new category where he was the only one. This whole idea of being the only really comes down to this: non-conformity. If you just do what everyone else is doing, you're going to get the same average results that everyone else gets. Mark's own journey to becoming a millionaire kicked off when he finally got the courage to quit his 9-to-5 and do the exact opposite of what everyone told him was the safe path. And a huge part of carving your own path today means dealing with technology. You just can't fight it. Trying to resist change is always a losing battle. You've got to work smart, not just hard, and that means embracing new tools. It's like this quote says, you can either be part of the steamroller or you can be part of the road. You really want to be driving. So you forged your mindset, you're building a unique career. So how do you translate all that hard work into actual tangible wealth? Well, that brings us right to our third pillar, mastering your money. It all starts with having a simple, solid, non-negotiable routine for every single paycheck. This is a spin on the classic 50-30-20 rule. 50% covers your absolute needs: rent, food, the basics. 20% goes straight into savings, building up that emergency fund. And that 30%? That's your power play money. First, you use it to aggressively attack any high-interest debt. Once that's gone, that same 30% becomes your wealth-building engine for investing. You know, what this really comes down to is a choice you have to make, especially in your 20s. Do you want to look rich or do you want to be rich? It's so tempting to splurge on a flashy car or designer clothes, but Mark is crystal clear. That is a trap. Buy a used, reliable car that gets you from A to B. Focus on consistently buying and building assets over time. That's how you build real, lasting wealth. And here are some absolute must-do financial habits. Treat your credit card like it's a debit card. If you can't pay it off in full at the end of the month, don't buy it. Start investing for retirement right now. I know it feels like it's a million years away, but compound interest is like magic and it needs time to work. Never, ever invest in something you don't actually understand. And always remember, nothing is really free. If it's not costing you money, you can bet it's costing you your time. Okay, we've covered mindset, career, and money. But none of it matters if you're in a vacuum, right? The fourth and final pillar is maybe the most important. It's all about the people in your life, how you treat them, who you choose to build with, and the reputation you create for yourself. Here is a super simple but really powerful social rule. You might think gossiping about someone makes you seem cool or in the know, but it actually does the complete opposite. The person you're talking to, they're just sitting there thinking, if they're talking about that person to me, they're definitely talking about me to someone else. It always boomerangs back and just destroys your own trustworthiness. And here we go, another piece of golden advice. Just stop trying to be liked by every single person. It's impossible, and trying to do it will just sand down all of your interesting edges until there's nothing left. Just be authentic. The right people will find you and appreciate you for exactly who you are. When you think about your legacy, what comes to mind? Your job title? The awards you won? Mark argues that the one thing that truly lasts, the one thing people remember, is your reputation, your character. At the end of it all, people remember how you made them feel and the kind of person you were, way more than any milestone you hit on a checklist. And that's exactly why building genuine connections is so important. Who you know, that network of people who trust you, who support you, who want to see you win, that is an asset that is way more valuable than any number in a bank account. It's your ultimate safety net and your best source of new opportunities. And this brings us to the final, and maybe the most critical, piece of golden advice. The person you choose to build a life with will have a massive impact on everything. Your finances, your mental health, your ambition, your happiness. Mark credits his wife as being absolutely essential to his success. This is not a decision to take lightly. So it really leaves you with this question to think about. And this isn't just about a romantic partner. It's about your friends, your mentors, your collaborators. Are the people in your inner circle lifting you up? Are they building alongside you? And finally, just remember this. The goal isn't just to arrive at some imaginary finish line of success. The real richness of life is found in the process itself. The building, the learning, the failing, the connecting. The ups and the downs of the journey, that's the part that really matters. So enjoy the ride.